Dream Team. It's your boy D Neal back with another reaction video, guys. Here we are with what's going on with Sergio Perez. He's in second place in the World Driving Championship, in the Driver World Championship Cup right now, right? It looks like Alonso's about to pass him for that second spot, but right now, you know what I'm saying? He's in second. Behind the best driver in the field, who nobody's gonna catch, which is his teammate Max Verstappen. So what does that mean? What's going on? He should be having this is a great season by all means, right? Before we jump in, y'all know what I need y'all to do. Well, what we got, Sergio?
Just when we thought the Red Bull curse was gone forever, seems to be creeping back in. Sergio Perez is, of course, under the spotlight a little bit as Red Bull's second driver. I mean, there is a lot of pressure, a lot of expectation, especially when you're driving one of the most dominant F1 cars of all time, and you're partnered with one of the best drivers in Formula One, in modern Formula One at least, Max Verstappen. Now, on 4 occasions, Sergio Perez has missed Q3, and in Canada, that was the 3rd time in a row. Now, obviously, probably not.
He has, huh? He has. Yeah, that ain't good. Sergio should definitely at least make it to Q3, bro. You feel? He should at least start out in that top 10 somewhere.
Ideal, considering the car you're driving for, the team you're driving for, and what your teammate is currently doing. Now, some of us did think, what if there is a teammates battle for the championship between Perez and Verstappen? And that lasted a whole 2 seconds. Verstappen is starting to run with the title now, but it's not exactly about Perez winning or fighting for the title now, is it? And another thing people have pointed to is that he hasn't really taken responsibility for mistakes or incidents. Now, sure, not everything is his mistake, but there is a bit of a trend happening here, and it is starting to get people talking and question Sergio Perez in the future. Now,
I do feel like, I mean, you got to take some kind of accountability. And I mean, I don't know the situation that's going on. This guy, look, you know what I'm saying? It sounds like he has a much better grasp on the situation. But yeah, like I said, when I'm watching highlights, it's like sometimes a car just messes up. Sometimes like sometimes these drivers aren't at fault. But sometimes they are. You got to take accountability for those moments. You can't point fingers and blame everyone else without looking in the mirror. And that's, from what he's saying, that's kind of sounded like what's going on.
Now, this is a weird conversation because it feels like just yesterday we were talking about how he is the ideal number 2 driver. And I guess he kind of still is. I mean, he isn't really posing a real threat to Max, which is good news for Red Bull. You don't have 2 teammates basically punching on with each other during the race every week. But of course, on the other hand...
But I feel like it is good news, but at the same time, like, I don't know. I kind of want... My 2 drivers are in first and second. I want them both to be competing for first. Like, I want them pushing each other to be even better and just furthering Red Bull away from everybody else in the competition. You know what I'm saying? Showing Red Bull as the dominant brand. And so it's like, yeah, you don't want them coming to blows. There's like a lot of tension in the team, but at the same time, I do want some tension in the team. I do want y'all to go out there and try to beat each other. Both try to go out there and get first place every race.
Your other driver, your number 2 driver, to make it into Q3. Now, missing Q3, I think is, I mean, it isn't really good enough. Again, considering that that car is so incredibly dominant and will possibly go down as even better as last year's Red Bull. And of course, when these things happen, people love to bring up possible replacements and drivers that could take over. Now, I don't know if it is time to worry yet for Sergio Perez. I mean, it doesn't seem to be at a stage where it is disastrous, but let's just say that he happens to drop off even further, and in some sort of universe, Red Bull decide to replace him. Who are the drivers that could take his seat? These are the 3 that I think are at least future possible options for Red Bull, some more likely than others, as we will soon find out. First, we have Lando Norris, clearly a insanely talented driver, somebody who I think definitely needs a faster car, a top seat at a front team. We know what he's capable of. We've seen him perform at an extremely high level, very consistently for a number of years now. Sooner or later, I think he will be fighting at the front. He's that sort of caliber. Now, he does have that contract with McLaren, but let's be honest, do those contracts really mean much? If a team really wants you, I think they'll do whatever it takes to get you. Who knows? What if we saw a Norris and a Perez swap? The one thing that kind of makes me doubt it, though,
I do like Lando Norris, I ain't gonna lie. Watching the race highlights, he's never right in the top, like top 3, top 4, but he's always doing something, making some noise somewhere in the pack. He's always driving better than expected, is what I would say.
Would Red Bull want a young, feisty driver like Lando Norris going up against Max? I mean, I think Max obviously is the better driver here, clearly. But, I mean, is it risky? Do you have the chance of having two teammates that maybe don't get along, maybe battle, step on each other's toes too much? Now, your second option is Yuki Tsunoda. A lot of people have been saying that he is ready for a Red Bull seat if it was to be presented to him. This year he has really stepped up to another level, been really solid, a really good, consistent driver. Definitely improved. I know a lot of people were talking about, you know, is Yuki Tsunoda ever going to be used to the Formula One environment? Is he ever going to adapt and show some consistency? And I think this year he's shown a lot of people what he is made of and how good he can be. And now the third driver that some people have mentioned, I don't think it is very likely at all, and that is Liam Lawson. Now, Liam Lawson hasn't even driven full-time in Formula One before, so I think it is
I was going to say, I haven't heard his name before, Liam Lawson.
For him to, you know, go through AlphaTauri first, you know, learn the ropes, get used to it, get some experience. I think throwing in someone like Liam Lawson straight into Red Bull, it's very risky, and it could do more harm to him than good, and I wouldn't want to see that, because I think Liam Lawson's potential is totally unlimited. I think he is just that good of a driver. Maybe, you know, in a few years, maybe in 5 or 6 years, we could see Liam Lawson in a Red Bull. But Sergio Perez right now is only 9 points ahead of Fernando Alonso. Now, we know what Fernando is capable of and how consistent he is. And, you know, if Aston Martin can keep this up throughout the season, he may overtake Perez if he can't find his form. It is a...
I think, honestly, I think he is going to take that second spot. I'm sorry, Perez. I don't think he's going to hold on to that second spot. I think Alonso is going to come and get it.
Bit of a different situation, you know, what is kind of going on? Now, Perez blames his Canada situation on the strategy in qualifying, saying that he was simply put on the wrong tyres, it was the wrong conditions for his strategy. And you know what, sort of understandable. I think a lot of fans bring up these discussions because we do like to think of who else would fit the Red Bull profile, because there are a couple of drivers that you could really see in that seat. I know a lot of people point to Norris as someone who Red Bull would love to have, and in fact, Red Bull have been open before that they've even gone for Norris in the past. It would be a fascinating dynamic, Max Verstappen and Lando Norris.
Out of those 3 options that he put out, I would like to see Norris get in the Red Bull the most. I feel like, Norris, you put him in that Red Bull car, and I think he said that Red Bull car is superior to the other cars, and you let him back. I still think Max is going to win because I feel like Max is driving a league of his own. But I feel like Norris is going to challenge him. And I like that.
Norris, but I don't think that this is something that's going to be completely disastrous for Sergio Perez, because I think he still can claw back and find some form. I mean, he has won races this year, we can't forget that, but I could be wrong, and then things are going to get very interesting. Silly season will be in full effect. So let me know what you guys think about the Sergio Perez situation. Do you think he'll find his form, or do you think this is a bit of a worrying trend that might continue. If you enjoyed this video, I would really appreciate it if you hit the subscribe button. We are nearly at 100,000 subscribers and I really want to get there, so please help me out by hitting the subscribe button. Feel free to follow me on Instagram for some behind the scenes content and future video sneak peeks. And as always, I truly appreciate your support and I will see you in the next one.
I love it. I hope Perez does get his form back. I hope he did, because in the beginning of the season it seemed like he was a lot better. And he is starting to kind of fall off. So I hope he does catch that form back and get back to, you know what I'm saying, being at the top of the race, being in those top 3, getting the podium spot. I feel like at the least you have to make it to Q3. There's no way you should be out before Q3. You've got to start somewhere in the top 10, especially if, like he said, your car is superior. And I've seen highlights, and he just seems like a great driver, usually with good strategy. But I don't know what's going on. That's all we got. You guys got a favorite video suggestion? You can subscribe to Patreon or drop it in the comment section. It's your boy D Neal. Out.